Hello, everyone. What's going on? How you all doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing fine. I'm Sal Warner. This is Breaking Dawn. As I've just said, guys, and I have a very big haircut. Of course, guys, I do need one. I'm not doing obviously United strand. I'm not growing my hair until Man United win 5 games in a row because at the moment that's very unrealistic. Very unrealistic. But I do need a haircut. But guys, thank you for joining me today. Really appreciate you all. Welcome, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. And don't forget to smash a like on the video if you guys can do that for me. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely lovely. Thank you, guys. Now, guys, look, I want to get straight into it. Obviously, over the summer, Man United have been rumbling about the links to Carlos Baleba. Manchester United are still very interested in Carlos Baleba despite his poor performances so far this season. However, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has demanded Brighton to reduce the transfer fee in regards to Carlos Baleba because they feel that the transfer fee of around 100+ million is unrealistic for a player that has not played well this season. Now, I did predict this a couple of weeks ago about the more that Carlos Baleba plays poorly, the more likely it is that his price tag will reduce. His price tag will reduce. And lo and behold, Jim Ratcliffe is demanding that his price is reduced. As Baleba keeps underperforming for Brighton, you can't really justify 100 million price tag because then people could turn around and say to you, well, his first season was a fluke, because that is how football is. Football's fickle like that, of course, and you're only as good as your last season, your last game, should I say. So basically, Jim Ratcliffe wants Manchester United to reduce the price to around £65 million, guys, £65 million. Plus incentives. So that is a significant drop to what Brighton wanted in the first place, which was around 100 million for Carlos Baleba. Man United do want to do a deal for Baleba and most likely would love to do a deal in January, but need this price to be reduced. The 100 million we are not going to pay. We are not going to pay that amount of money for Carlos Baleba. But what's good about this is that we are still interested in Carlos Baleba. But I also would put I would also argue about Carlos Baleba. Would you pay the money for Carlos Baleba if he carries on underperforming for Brighton? Does him performing badly for Brighton represent a weak mentality? Does it? Because we have to look at this as well. Because every great player, look at Guri of Crystal Palace. Guri missed his chance to sign for Liverpool, but he's still performing very well at a high standard for Crystal Palace, even though he was on the brink. There was even a here we go in regards to Guri going to Liverpool. He was on the brink of signing for Liverpool, and he didn't get his move, but he's still professional. Does this represent something negative in regards to Carlos Baleba, that he didn't get his move, so basically throwing his rattles out of his pram? I don't know that. I do know that Carlos Baleba is a very talented player. I would still love him at Manchester United. I would love him to play for Manchester United. However, the 100 million for even me, guys, is a little bit steep. It's a lot of money to play for a player like Carlos Baleba. Would he have made a difference this season? And that is the biggest question for me and you. Would Carlos Baleba have made a difference this season with Manchester United? I would have to say yes. In some games, we might have not lost to Grimsby. We might have not lost to Arsenal. We probably wouldn't have drawn to Fulham. We probably would have beaten Fulham. Maybe that. When we're looking at Man United's season, and obviously we've been missing a midfielder, and Bruno's been moved into the midfield, and that is entirely Ruben Amorim's fault. He shouldn't be playing Bruno midfield. We do have a weak midfield. And whether it's Ugarte, whether it's Casemiro, whoever plays next to Bruno Fernandes is going to struggle. So I wouldn't say it's an absolute that Man United would be doing a lot better if Carlos Baleba was playing for the football club. I wouldn't say that's 100% guarantee. But it would give us a chance. It would give us a chance. It would give us a more of a dynamism to our midfield, more power, more pace in regards to our midfield. Because at the moment, that is something that we're severely lacking. When we move it on to Ruben Amorim, and obviously there's a lot of rumblings about Ruben Amorim, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of disagreements in the Man United fan base, surprise, surprise, disagreements in the Man United fan base about Ruben Amorim. Now, my stance has always been like I've always been from the beginning: support your football team, support your manager, and what will be, because what I say that ultimately doesn't matter. What you say ultimately doesn't matter. What the most important thing is that Manchester United win football games. Manchester United win football matches. That is it. That is what it is for me. Now, I do believe that Ruben Amorim is coming to the end of his tenure. I do believe that he will be sacked. I got a feeling he will be sacked. And I don't take any joy out of that. It's not about me being right, you being right, me being wrong, you being wrong. Someone who called it in March, someone who called it now. So, it doesn't really matter. Because ultimately, all that really, truly matters is Manchester United and Manchester United doing well as a football team. Now, people who've been calling for Ruben Amorim's head for months, for me, are a disgrace. For me, right? Because at the end of the day, maybe supporting your football team might divert some positive energy into your football team. We might actually win a few more games if we actually start supporting the football club sufficiently. Now, Ruben Amorim has proven that he is stubborn in his ways. He will not change his ways. And I was going to argue this point, in my opinion, if I was to take this to the judge, to the court of law, I would say to the judge, I would say, look, you know what? Ruben's a fantastic manager. He's proven himself at Sporting Lisbon. He's done fantastically well. But what I can't defend is the lack of a plan. It seems like we've thrown all our plans out the window and just reverted back in default mode and got all those players who are deemed experienced. And that's what we've done in regards to Luke Shaw, Dalot, Maguire, even Bruno Fernandes to an extent, and playing Bayern there in goal. I feel like we've thrown that at all that what we planned in regards to Aiden Heaven, in regards to Lenny Yoro, out the window. It's all gone. It's out. It's gone. We've thrown that away and we thought, right, I'm just going to play the players that I trust. And that is where I criticize Ruben Amorim, and we're allowed to criticize in regards to that. Do I want Ruben Amorim out? Am I going to be crying out to the rooftop, get him out of my club, he's a fraud? No, I'm not, because that's not what I am at the end of the day. What will be, as I said at the beginning of the show. I will support my football team, and I will hope that my football team wins. But I'm not going to be jumping on the rooftop saying, get him out, sack him now, get him out of my football club, because that's not what I do. Right? What I would say is that... what I would say, sorry if I'm lagging a little bit, guys. What I would say is that I believe that what will be, and he will be sacked anyway if he doesn't get the results. Because ultimately, when I'm looking at Ruben Amorim now, and I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at his decisions, I'm looking at the way he's doing things and things like that, I'm looking at things like he doesn't want to change. He doesn't want to pick the team that we're all screaming out from the rooftops to pick. Obviously, he doesn't want to move Bruno into that number 10, and try something different. We all know it's going to work. And this is the thing, isn't it? And this is where the contradictions come. And this is where the indefensible comes, isn't it, into it. We can't defend this. We can't move forward with this because he's not changing. He doesn't want to change. I see things from a sense that this is starting to get a little bit like Ten Hag days. This is starting to get a little bit like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer days. They're starting to get into those periods where they wouldn't make the changes. They wouldn't change things. They wouldn't change things no matter if it's screaming out to change things. Now, if Ruben Amorim came out and he had Mantato on the right, he played Lenny Yoro and Aiden Heaven, right? Moved Bruno into number 10 or dropped Bruno completely. I think a lot of us as a fan base would have been a lot more understanding in regards to Ruben Amorim. There would be a lot more believing in what Ruben Amorim is trying to build, right? When we see players and we see a revert into the old, right, the norm, which is Dalot, Shaw, Bruno, Maguire, we're all disillusioned by what the project actually is, what the future actually holds. And that is where I would always have the criticism, and that is where I always bring in this. That is where I always argue the point that, well, you know what? Ruben's he's doing it himself. He's sacking himself. Is he sacking himself? Is he on a perseverance mission where he doesn't want to change anything because he's stubborn and he's going to die on that sword? Does he believe he's getting sacked and he won't change his formation because, you know what, if he changes it, it makes him look stupid? You know, I look at Man United and I look at who we have as a number 2. Who do we have as a number 2, guys? I beg that question to every single one of you, because over the years when Alex Ferguson was the manager of Manchester United, whether it was Carlos Queiroz, whether it was Steve McLaren, whether it was Brian Kidd, we always had a number 2. Phelan, another one. We always had a number 2 that was relied upon by Sir Alex Ferguson. He was a reliable figure for Alex Ferguson. He was a reliable guy for Alex Ferguson. These days, not many of us know who the number 2 is. Not many of us know who's the man next to his side. He's going to be standing there side by side with him through thick and thin. We don't know, do we? And it's exactly what we're saying here. It just seems like a mismatch on what's going on at the moment. A mismatch in formation, a mismatch in player selection, a mismatch on what's on the touchline. Because all I'm seeing is, you know what, I'm seeing a bunch of, people on the bench just sitting there with a toothpick. You know, that's what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing anyone by Ruben Amorim's side. I'm not seeing any man that, i.e. Carlos Queiroz or Steve McLaren, a Phelan, a Brian Kidd, who typified Alex Ferguson's tenure, by the way, who were ever present during Sir Alex Ferguson's most successful years. I don't see anything like that, because sometimes, guys, anyone in this world, we're human beings. We're human beings, right? We need a helping hand. Sometimes we need someone to whisper in our ear, "You look, Sal, mate, it's not working, bruv." You know? And I have always appreciated that. I've always honored that when people have done that. Have told me, that, "Sal, you need to do this differently." Or, "Sal, you've done that wrong." I've always been like that. And that's what you need. That's what you need. We are not lions. We are not birds. We don't go out there, "Here you go, fly, goodbye." That's not how life works with human beings. I think that Ruben Amorim is incredibly stubborn to what he's doing. And he doesn't want anyone to stop him from changing his formation, right? Or changing his tactics or changing his team selection. Now, for me, and I've said it many, many times, I'm not going to flip-flop from this, I don't believe it is a system issue. I don't believe it is a system issue. I believe it's a personnel issue. I believe we're playing the wrong players, and that is down to Ruben Amorim. Of course it is. And that is where I don't defend. However, I will always back this football club. And when the match day is on, I'm not sitting here thinking, I want us to lose so I can be proven right. Because I feel like this is one of the biggest problems in the Manchester United community, in the Man United fan base. I want to be proven right. I'm the best. I want to have a godlike figure in the football community. That's what I want, because I want to be known as the best. I want to be known as the most ball knowledge guy out there. I want to be that guy. Because that is what the Man United fan base are doing at the moment. They want to be that guy. Whether they're throwing abuse on social media, or they're coming on here saying, "Get him sacked now, get that fraud out of my club. I want us to lose." And I've seen that here. I don't think any of us, if we have that mentality, I don't think we deserve success. Do you honestly think a person who wants us to lose deserves success? I've always wanted Man United to win. Even if it meant Liverpool winning the title. Even if it meant Liverpool winning the title and Man United had to qualify for the Champions League with one win, but we had to beat Liverpool. We had to basically beat Arsenal, should I say. Let's say we beat Arsenal. We had to beat Arsenal. I would still want Man United to win because it's good for Man United. Forget about what Liverpool are doing. We will be there. Don't worry about it. That is the most important thing for me. I think sometimes what Ruben Amorim has to understand, if I'm going to criticize Ruben Amorim, and what he has to understand is that, bro, we are human beings, mate. You can make mistakes. You could change your formation. You could pick different players. We're not going to criticize you, mate. We're not going to throw you under the bus, mate. Alex Ferguson did the same. Many people have done the same in the past. Many managers out there have done the same in the past. Playing Bruno in the midfield is a mistake. Playing Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire is a mistake. Playing Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire is a mistake. Playing Bayindir in goal is a mistake. These are all mistakes that he is on him because he didn't need to do that. He didn't need to do that. I'm not saying change the system. No, I've never said that. I never once said change the system. But what I want you to do is be honest with yourself and pick the right team, what works. What works. Because ultimately, long before we're gone, Manchester United will still be here. Manchester United will still be the football club. Manchester United will still be competing. Long after we're gone, no one's bigger than this football club. Now, Ruben Amorim is on the brink of the sack. I know that. You know, I know that Ruben Amorim is on the brink of the sack. I can't really see, guys, I can't see how he fixes this right now. I would have to see something miraculous. I would have to see something, that is way beyond what I thought would be. By beating Sunderland and beating Liverpool. That is the only way I can see Ruben Amorim saving his job. This is the only thing I can see, guys. Because even if we beat Sunderland, sorry, I'm lagging a little bit. Even if we beat Sunderland, I can't see him beating Liverpool. He has to go out there and he has to defeat Liverpool. That is what he has to do. He has to go out there and he has to defeat Liverpool. Can you see him doing that? I don't know. Welcome everyone to the stream. I hope you're doing well. I hope everything is blessed with you. I hope everyone is good, of course, guys. Welcome, Saviour. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. Good to see you, of course. Good morning, sir. We need to act fast and buy in Baleba. And this is the thing, though, Saviour. Until the culture at this football club is fixed, I don't see much improvement, no matter who we sign, right? And that is just my opinion. I think that if Baleba has Bruno next to himself by his side, I don't think there's going to be a big improvement. I don't think there's going to be a massive improvement in regards to that. I really don't. United, I want Gallagher and Baleba is the midfield for plan for January. Ineos. Yeah, let me bring it into the Gallagher situation. Atletico Madrid do not want to do a loan deal for Conor Gallagher. They want a deal worth 50 million euros for Conor Gallagher. What do I make of that? A little bit too expensive for that player, if I'm being really honest with you guys. Why do Atletico Madrid want to sell him if he's such a sought-after player? And this is the argument that I would have with anyone in regards to Gallagher. I like the player. I don't think he's special. I don't think he's an Adam Wharton, but I like the player. I think he's a decent player. 50 million, absolutely not. 50 million, absolutely not. Atletico Madrid don't want to do a loan deal for him. Morning, Randall. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Of course, good to see you. Good morning, Sal. I want Amorim to be here to the season. Big up, my friend. Sal, this is in your scary, their decision-making shambles. Absolutely, bruv. Albie, what's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Hope all is well. Very well, mate. Hope you're doing well. Interesting to see how long Ineos keep Amorim. He refuses to change his midfield, and he always rotates his defence. I have nothing... I have no problem with rotating sometimes in positions. I think that happens sometimes. Alex Ferguson did the same. It's nothing to do with that. I think he's playing the wrong players in defence. That's it. It should be Lenny Yoro and it should be Aiden Heaven. It should be De Ligt. That is what our defence should be. If it isn't Lenny Yoro, or it should be Mazraoui, he's not fit, of course, but it should be Mazraoui. That is what the defence should be. The biggest problem Ruben Amorim is having is his team selection. That is his problem he's having. I guarantee you, just a couple of more tweaks here and there in regards to that lineup. I guarantee you that Man United will be in a lot better position right now. If Bruno wasn't playing in the number 8, if Lamens was in goal, if Yoro and Aiden Heaven were playing in defence, I guarantee you the last game would have been a lot better, guys. We probably wouldn't have lost the game. We probably would have won the game. That was a team selection problem, and that was a Ruben Amorim problem, and we admit that. I don't want Ruben Amorim to get sacked. Of course I don't. I mean, we're gonna do another rebuild, another reset. A new manager comes in. We're gonna get giddy. But one thing I want for the fans, guys, one thing I want you all to understand is this, right? And I want you to listen to me, please. When we do get a new manager in, right? Because I do believe it's when he goes on a new manager bounce, right? I don't want us to get overexcited. I don't want us to be jumping up and down. We're back. We're cooking. This is what we're all about. I told you it was Ruben Amorim's fault. I told you, sit down. I told you. I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that nonsense. Because we've been here before, right? We've been here before. And this is the problem. This is part of the cultural problem at the football club. Some of the fan base. Me against you. You're right, I'm wrong. Let's be calm. Let's wait and see what happens. Let's move on and see what happens. Let's see what happens, guys. You know what? Because it all comes crumbling down in the end, doesn't it? It has done with Man United over the years. It's come crumbling down many, many times. I've always said to people, I'm neither here, I'm neither there. I'm not in, I'm not out. I'm in the middle, and that's how I'll always be. I never come out with extremist points of views in regards to my opinion, in regards to keep him, or sack him. I'm never like that. And I'm not going to be like that if we have a new manager bounce. I'm going to be very calm. I'm going to be very level-headed when it comes to that, because I know how football is. I know how football is, I know how football is. Good morning, fan. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, of course. Saviour, they have to bring midfield in January to bench Bruno. Oh, they're not going to bench Bruno. That's the problem. He's on too much money. Good morning, Sal. I'm a Baleba. Big up, Chozo. We all are, I think. We all are. Irfan, the only gripe I have about those fake football fan pages, they stir the biggest shit and almost create such a huge buzz around their narratives. Sometimes I feel they are not United fans. Irfan, I could come on here and I could talk to you for hours about who's not a United fan and who's a real United fan. You know who the United fans are and you know who they're not, because a lot of them are very quick in changing their narratives to fit a popular narrative. So, for example, the media, they follow like sheep. And that's what they do. I don't. I make up my own decisions. I stay true to myself, fan. And I think everyone should do the same. I think I've watched a lot of football in my life to identify people who actually want Man United to win, or who only want Man United to win or lose based on their opinion, based on their being right. And that is the problem that I have. People coming up on my channel who've been Ruben Amorim out for months, right? And this is what they're all about. They sacrifice themselves so early. They don't support their football club. They don't support their manager. They don't help the cause. They just want to be Ruben Amorim out and stick to their opinion. And that's what it is. And that goes with Ruben Amorim in as well. They stick to their opinion and that's what they want. And they're not going to change their opinion for love nor money, because you know what? I want to be right. And I want to be deemed this football guru that no one could tell me anything. If we all knew everything about football, if we all knew everything about the birds and the bees, about football, then we would be multi-millionaires right now, because we all know every single result that comes out of football. Won't we? And that's what it is at the end of the day. I feel like the biggest disappointing thing for me is fans that want us to lose so they can prove a point. That is the biggest disappointment for me. That is the thing that really makes me feel disillusioned, that really makes me feel angry, it makes me feel disappointed. You name it, it makes me feel it. I'm just fed up with it, Ruben, we're playing him as a goalkeeper. Big up, Mark. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Lawrence, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Let's wait and see about our new manager. We have to have some bad boys in midfield. We have some boys for midfield, but should take Fernandes out of the team, full stop, really. Lawrence, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with your sentiments. I agree that Bruno should be dropped from the football team. But he won't. He's on 300 bags a week. They're not going to remove him from that. They're not going to remove him from 300 bags a week. They're going to play him every single game. And this is one of the some people sort of call it a conspiracy theory, something sinister. But a part of me feels like Bruno, the way things are going and the way that he keeps picking Bruno in that midfield, despite it not working, it makes me think that he's being told from the above to pick Bruno Fernandes. He's being told to pick Bruno Fernandes. That's what he's been told, It just makes me feel like that, that because it's so obviously not working that I feel like he's being told that. And I feel like the new manager that's going to come in might have this problem as well. People would believe more in Ruben Amorim if he played the team that most of us want him to play. You know, if he played Bruno as a number 10, I'm not saying don't play Bruno, drop Bruno. Maybe play him as a number 10. Play in Bremo on the right, play in Wainu in the middle, play Euro and Heaven. And people will much more be inclined to support you. They'll be much more inclined to be there for you because they can see a vision. They can see you're trying to change the culture at this football club. They can see it. They know what you're trying to do. And this is the thing with Ruben Amorim that makes people think, I don't believe in you. I don't want him out. I don't want him to be sacked. No. As I said, I'm not that guy, right? Leave that to the other people to do that. But what I would say is this, right? If Ruben Amorim was sacked right now, I don't think any of us can turn around and say, well, you know what, that's harsh. That's wrong. I think every single one of us, most of us will say, well, that was coming. Wouldn't we? Now, I know, you know, that we will beat Sunderland on Saturday. We probably will beat Sunderland on Saturday. I'm not being disrespectful to Sunderland, but this is what Man United do. We probably beat Sunderland on Saturday and lose to Liverpool after the international break. So what do we want to do here? And what manager are we going to bring in if we lose to Liverpool? You know, I think we need to be making plans now. Even though it's unfair, Ruben Amorim, I know life ain't fair, football ain't fair. Ruben Amorim will be all right. He'll be all right. He's a multi-millionaire. He'll be fine. Man United have to move on, but that's not guaranteed that there's going to be success at the end of the tunnel. This is the thing. Now, what I want us to do as a fan base, I want us to think about the basics first. What Manchester United need to do is Man United need to solidify something. They need to solidify being hard to beat and scoring goals, right? And hard to defend against. Firstly, we need to be hard to beat. Because I don't think we're hard to beat. I think we're very easy to beat. I've never seen a Man United side so easy to beat. It's literally one or two passes until the ball's in the back of the net against Man United. So first thing we got to do is become hard to beat, become tough, become resilient, and that is what we need to do. Have a foundation first. Build the foundations first. Because every single Man United fan out there is aiming here, is up here at the moment, right? Is at the league title. And I've been guilty as well of doing that. Because I'm a Man United fan, I've seen loads of titles in my life. All of Alex Ferguson's titles. But what I've learned, come to realize, is that what Man United need to do, and that's what the great teams do, is that they got to solidify a resilience and a toughness about themselves where they're hard to beat, right? And then when we're hard to beat, we got to start adding the elements to the team to build us up to that level. So we're building a unit. We're having a plan. I'm seeing players there in that football team that should not be at that football team, and they've been there a decade. This is not a plan. This is scrolling back to the old chapters. This is going back to Netflix series 1. You know, this is what it is because we still got those players in the team. What we're doing as a football club, we're going on a train, right? We're going on a train. We get on this train, right? Man United get on this train. And it's the wrong train. And we stay on that train, despite it being the wrong train. And we go further and further and further away from our destination. And what does that make? That equates to it becoming more and more expensive for Man United to come back. For me to come back off my train, which is the wrong train. Right? That is what we're doing at the moment. We're going further and further and further, getting further and further away. In this analogy, our title, and it's becoming more and more expensive to get there, to get back. That is what Man United are doing at the moment. Now, what Man United need to do is get off that train, right? Get off that train and say, okay, it's going to take time, but we need to make sure that we get back to our destination. We don't go further that way. Number one, we don't go further away from our goal. We need to make sure we get back to our destination. And as slow as we get there, even if we walk back, we're getting closer. But what we have to do is not get further away. We have to be strong. We have to be hard to beat. We have to be resilient. We have to have mentality. And we shouldn't be beaten as easily as we've been beaten over the last few years. Because we are, you know. Good morning, Daryl. How you doing, my friend? Hope we're doing well. Morning. You think we will drop the price? I don't think so. I hope we get him. Are really going. I mean, Daryl, I don't speak on guesswork. He's not going to be £100 million player if he carries on underperforming, you know, and that's what it is. Somewhere we need something January 100%, but will we do it? It's the $1 million question, isn't it, Daryl? Will they do it? Personally, if they bring in a new manager, I don't know. They didn't back Ruben Amorim, did they, really, in January? I don't think they'll put back a new manager. I don't think they'll do business in January. I just can't see it happening because I don't think we've done the business in January effectively over the years, in my opinion. But you never know. You never know, you know. Look, if Carlos Baleba carries on underperforming for Brighton, his price would drop. Naturally would drop. No one in their right mind would pay 100 million for a player that is underperforming in the Premier League. And that goes with everyone. And what does that do? That stifles Baleba's progression. That stifles Baleba's opportunity to move to a bigger club. So that is left Brighton in a business situation, not only a footballing situation, but also a business situation in which that, you know what, it's not good enough to have him on a pitch because he's not performing. And if we don't sell him now, his price is going to drop. You know, and that is the thing. You know, that's what I would say of that. Big up, Daryl. I'm not happy with Rio. I hope he feared my comment on his post, subtly attacking. Look, Mark, let me tell you something, Irfan. I love Rio as a footballer. I think Rio is one of the greatest defenders of all time. Fantastic. But Rio as a pundit is deadbeat, mate. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He works on vibes. He never criticizes players. He never throws players under the bus. He always goes for the manager. All the time for the manager. You know, I liked what Paul Scholes said. I watched Paul Scholes this morning and I loved what he said. You know, and I love what Wayne Rooney said as well. You know, it's not all about the manager. It's not all about that. It's about the board. It's about the ownership. It's about the players. And someone said it the other day. It's 50% the ownership, 40% the players, 10% the manager. And I'm sorry, guys. I believe in that. It's everyone's fault, but there are percentages. There are percentages in this, you know. Next game on Saturday, the coach should play Lamens in goal, Mainu and Casemiro in midfield. Casemiro's gone as well, mate. Casemiro's finished as well. Hey, Sal, the rumours about Glasner are growing. What are your thoughts? Another hipster manager, Freddie fan. Another hipster manager. People are telling me, oh, he plays the 3-4-2-1. He plays it better than Ruben Amorim. In what sense does he do it? Ruben Amorim did it in the Champions League. I just think it's another hipster manager. I think the pressure on Man United will be too much for him. He'll get eaten alive. He will get eaten alive. I could see Glasner being sacked in the year. I can. I'll be honest with you guys. Man United need a personality. Man United need someone to come in there and absolutely tear it up. That's what Man United need. They don't need another nice guy. They don't need another guy with vibes. They need an absolute animal to come into that football club and say, that's it. I'm not dealing with this. That's it. Rip it all up. Freddie. Big up, Freddie Van. Hey, Benny, what's going on? Sack him all we want, but the problems aren't going to magically disappear. Absolutely. Listen to Wayne Rooney talking yesterday, was saying that he doesn't recognise Manchester United anymore. Exactly. But how long has this been going on for, Benny? It's way before Ruben Amorim, isn't it? You know, I know, Benny. You know, I know. And we talk things with an open mind, not just what is the popular narrative. We know that it isn't. Ruben Amorim is not coming to this football club and absolutely effed everything up. We know there's many, many issues in the football club. My only issue with Ruben Amorim is he's picking the wrong players in the wrong positions. That's it. Right? However, it was not Ruben Amorim's fault that Ineos decided to give him a 4 out of 10 window. It wasn't Ruben Amorim's fault that, you know, the Ineos stood in the way of a full sale. You know? It's not Ruben Amorim's fault that some of these players don't like to run. They don't like to run. They don't like to work hard. Because that ultimately they don't. They can pretend they want to work hard, but ultimately they don't want to work hard. You know? And what you see it on the game. There's not one sweat between them. You know? Big up Sanjay. Good morning. How are we doing? Big up Benny. Hope you're doing well. Love Wazza. Listen to him on his channel, and it was refreshing to listen. I love Wazza as well. I think Wazza's a very level-headed guy. He's more intelligent than people think. Very, very true what he says. Look, I would love Wazza at the football club. I would love Wayne Rooney at the football club. I would love one of these people at the football club. But I don't want them to be sucked into what the football club is, because a lot of these pundits, they speak a good game, right? They speak a good game. But when it comes to it, if they ever came to Man United, they'll fall into the default mode of what this football club is, the problem of what this football club is. Wayne Rooney spoke the absolute gospel. I don't recognize Man United anymore. This is not the Manchester United I recognize. This is not the football team I fell in love with. This is not the team. I know that. We're nowhere near it. We're not being beaten. We're being annihilated, right? And this shouldn't be happening at Man United. And every single one of those players deserve to be criticized, as well as the manager, as well as the ownership. All of them do. But I'm seeing just attacks on the manager. We're just fixing one part of the thing, guys. We're fixing the central heating when we got a leaking roof. That's what we're doing here. And we're not concentrating on all the problems at Man United and all the problems that are there, because they're not going to be fixed. If Glasner walked into the football club, do you think he's all of a sudden going to make Luke Shaw run harder? Do you think he's going to make Mason Mount less injury prone? Do you think he's going to make Harry Maguire less of a clown? You know, do you think he's going to make Bruno not doing any hero balls? He's not, is he? People say, no, we can't remove 20 players. Yes, we can. Why can't we remove 20 players? Sporting Lisbon removed 20 players. We need to remove 20 players as well. This is what we need to do if we want to move forward. Viafana suddenly attacking Ruben Amorim's formation. He is spineless, and he did the same with Eric Ten Hag, shifting the focus on his piss poor friends, Shaw and Maguire, and attacking the manager. Irfan, this is exactly what I'm saying. This is exactly right. Rio Ferdinand will only concentrate on his mates, his friends, the footballers. So you know why? Let me tell you this why, Irfan. Because he wants to get them on his channel. He wants to get those footballers on his channel, and he doesn't want to burn the bridge with those footballers. That's why Rio Ferdinand will always be pro-footballer. Let me tell you that right now. I mean, the guy supports Stephen Howson. He's a known bigot. You know, and this is what we're talking about here. You know, this is the levels that we are with this. You know what I mean? Dangerous. Sal, how can we compete when we do not give full back into the manager? We're never going to compete, Ephraim. It's a simple answer for that. There's a simple answer for that. We're never going to compete to the level that we should be competing, to the level that Manchester United should be competing. We're never going to compete if the managers are not being backed and the managers are not being backed with their players. Now, look, I'm not saying it's doom and gloom. I'm not. I'm saying that we have got good enough players. Ruben Amorim's biggest mistake is not trusting the younger players. He's not trusting certain players in certain positions. And this is the problem that Ruben Amorim is having. And this is what I said at the beginning. Ruben Amorim is going to live and die on his sword. And I said it at the beginning of the game against Brentford. I said it at the beginning of the game against Arsenal. I said it at the beginning of the game against Fulham. I said it at the beginning of the game against Man City. I said it time and time again. He's playing the wrong players in the wrong positions. Now, this would have changed if Ruben Amorim was backed properly with a midfield, with a defense, with the wing backs. I'm sure the team would look a lot different right now. But it wasn't, was it? And they failed him. This is their man, and they failed him. You know? I'm tired of turning on the social media. I'm tired of watching TV. I'm watching YouTube and seeing the same old narrative, the same old, get him out of my club, sack him now. He's not good enough. Get him out of the club. I'm tired of seeing it now. I'm tired of watching it and seeing the same old excuses. You know, the same old argument, system, not the system. He will win more game with the system. It's not the system. We had 4-3-3 with Eric Ten Hag. Blah, 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 blah. Same old, same old, same old, same old. Same arguments every single. It's like we're going round and round in circles. It's time we blame those players. Because with the 4-3-3, we were Bagel FC, weren't we? With the 4-3-3, we were. It's time we start holding them accountable more to the 40%, like that gentleman said to me. You know? We have spent 200 million on the front three that cannot press. Has been a problem since Raggan. How did that happen? The front three is not pressing because we don't have a midfield, Mark. It's pretty not brain science, mate. It is. We don't have a midfield. The midfield is the engine of the team to contribute. When Cunha has the ball, you know what Cunha is good at? Let me tell you what Mateus Cunha is good at. Mateus Cunha is good at having the ball to feet so we can spin in behind. That's what Mateus Cunha is very good at. That's why he got 15 goals last season, right? He spins in behind. How's he supposed to spin in behind when Bruno Fernandes is hitting 50-yard balls to him on his bloody head? How's he supposed to do that? It's nothing to do with Cunha. It's nothing to do with 20 goals last season in Buemo. It's nothing to do with Sesko. It's to do with the midfield. That is the biggest problem at Man United. Nothing to do with the attack. And until we do that, until we start building that midfield, which we haven't done, we're going to have a big issue here. You know, we got the same midfield there that we had under Ruben Amorim, under Erik ten Hag, you know? Irfan, interesting take, Sal. A long figure, you need a voice in your head, that second opinion to make you go. Irfan, if I'm standing there, bro, if you were my assistant, mate, and I'm standing there watching the football, and you can see I'm doing something wrong, I would expect you to come to me and say, Sal, bro, you're doing something wrong here, mate. You need to do this, that. This will fix it. Look at that guy over there, what he's doing. And that is what it is. That is what Ruben Amorim needs. He needs that voice in his ear. Do you know what I mean? He needs that voice in his ear, and he doesn't have that. And that's what I'm saying. That over the years, you think Alex Ferguson was humble enough to have the likes of McLaren, the likes of Quiras, the likes of Brian Kidd, you know, the likes of Phelan by his side at all times. They were always visible in your eyesight. They were always visible there. They were always there. They're always shouting things on the touchline. If Ruben Amorim is doing something over there, those assistant managers are doing something over there on the defense. You know, and that is what we want. And that's why you need an assistant manager. And I'm looking at his bench, and I'm not seeing anyone. I'm seeing people with a toothpick going like that. Hey, gringo. Hey. That's what I'm seeing. You know, I'm not seeing anything. You know, it's like a bunch of, like, it's like bloody a cartel there. You know, it's not like a, you know what I mean? It's not like a football management bench. And that's what I'm looking at. And that's what I'm seeing, you know. Big up fan. Kenny, social media has clearly ruined fan base. Social media generation, Kenny, social media. I'm really happy. I love social media, and I think technology is a great thing, and I think that it has been a great thing in certain aspects, but it's also had a negative impact as well. It has, at the end of the day. I think we created a new generation of sheepism. I think we created a new generation of ego. I think we have opinionated people, too opinionated, who wouldn't have an opinion otherwise, you know? So they're using this platform for big out there opinions that get them likes and clicks, including ex-footballers, you know? And that's what I would say about that, you know? One Don, let me see Fufa. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Really good to see you. Please go and get us Zidane and Xavi, please. And thanks. This is too much. Look, I love Zidane. Zidane's one of my favorite players of all time. However, there's a reason he hasn't managed since he was at Real Madrid. The reason is because at Real Madrid, he had Modric, he had Toni Kroos, he had Benzema, he had Gareth Bale, he had Cristiano Ronaldo. He had quite a decent team there, my friend. You know, and we have to understand that Man United is a different animal. However, I wouldn't say no to Zinedine Zidane because obviously he will demand respect. Also, Xavi, look, guys, we all know one Don, my mate. We all know that Ruben Amorim will probably get sacked. Right. And that's another one bites the dust. But we also got to concentrate ultimately on what is really going on at this football club, because there is more problems going on at this football club than we even know. Even Ruben Amorim said it a couple of weeks ago. There's problems at this football club that we're not even thinking of. We're not even talking about, you know. Big up, one Don. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining me. Zidane and Zidane. I mean, everyone's going to have an opinion about who's going to be the next manager. I just lost all interest in it now, Kenny. I've lost all interest in managements. I've lost the excitement. I've lost the enthusiasm of sacking managers. I don't care anymore because I've been in this situation before. You were there, Kenny, when I was saying sacking Erik ten Hag is not going to help anything, you know? And I had people on here saying, get rid of him now. And I said, it's not going to change anything. In fact, it might even get worse. And here we are. It's got worse. you know. Shaq T, good morning. Hope you're doing well. I think Amorim is putting his best team out there based on what he sees in training. The team we see in the best assessment of his system, he doesn't see value in changing and I expect better results. What you have to do sometimes, as I said many times, Shaq T, players can manipulate in training. Players can pretend in training. It doesn't matter what happens in training. You need to get the eye test. He needs to get the eye test. And that ultimately is what it is. We all know, every man and his dog know that the system, not the system, but the players in the system are playing wrong. They're in the wrong positions. Bruno is not a number 8. Shaw and Dalot should not be playing for Man United anymore. Harry Maguire should be on the bench. Bruno should be in the number 10. We all know that if Bruno should even be playing. We all know that Sally Lamens should be in goal now. If Sally Lamens was in goal, we'd probably be doing a lot better than what we're doing now, isn't it? You know. Yesterday we had the system game. Today we have the Iron out game. Look, unfortunately in life, fan, we live in a generation of I want it now. I want it now. I want everything now. I can't wait. I don't have no patience because they have mobile phones, they have social media, and everything is brought to them in a click of a finger. A click of a finger. Everything is brought to them quickly. And that's why people have no patience these days. You know, we came before the days of technology. We came before the days of social media, you know, and we saw everything from the beginning all the way to now and what it is, you know, and we understand about patience and that. But unfortunately, not only the fan base, but also the media out there have been piling the pressure on. I just turned on, it was like every single channel I turned it on, Amorim this, Amorim that, Man United this, Man United that. Non-stop. And I'm like, bloody hell. And that gets through to Ineos and that gets through to the Glazers. And that is why, you know what, they'll end up sacking him. Now, what I would say is this. Football is a results game. And unfortunately, he's not going to get the time. And this is exactly why I wanted Ineos. I wanted Qatar. It's exactly why I wanted Qatar. The reason I wanted Qatar is because they would have backed him 100%. Whoever the manager would have been, they would have backed him 100%. You know, with the players that manager needs. You know, and this is exactly why I wanted a full sale. I knew at the beginning of the season, if Ruben Amorim doesn't get results, people are going to throw Ruben Amorim under the bus, and that's what we did. Even though we've been close in games, some of the games have been really close. But there's been 2 games in particular that have been absolutely atrocious and unacceptable, which was the Man City game and the Brentford game. Unacceptable performances. And the Grimsby game, 3 to be fair. But in the Premier League, Man City and Brentford were disgraceful. I don't put that down to Ruben Amorim fully. However, I will put down the team selection in his corner because it is. We all know if Man United play Lenny Yoro, Hayden Heaven, Sally Lamens, only... Let's forget about Bruno for a second. We would not lose that game. This is the difference. This is the fine margins in football, isn't it? You know, the fine margins. Winning 6 games on a bounce, Darren. Darren, if he wins 6 games on a bounce, I'll shave my hair off and my eyebrows. Big up, my friend. The Liverpool game is a worry. We could take a proper hiding or win 3-0. That's these players for you. Never going to win 3-0 away to Liverpool. If we do, I would do the same. I would shave off my hair and shave off my eyebrows again. What I would say is that Man United drew there last season, played very well, went toe-to-toe with them. Should have won in the end. Harry Maguire missed an open goal at the end. I would say, yeah. That is the D-Day for him. If he beats Sunderland, I honestly think Liverpool is his last game. If he doesn't win. If he loses that game or draws that game, if he loses that game, I don't think he stays on. If he draws or wins that game, I think he stays on. I think they give him more time. But we need to know what we want here because we've got Brighton coming up, Tottenham coming up. We got big games coming up, guys. You know, and do you actually feel confident against any team that we play these days? Any team, any. I don't. And this is the thing, you know, because I don't trust these players. I don't. And I don't trust Ruben Amorim to pick the players that I think should play, that will give him more success. I don't think he would do it, you know. Another bit of news. Apparently, there was some news coming out in regards to Ruben Amorim playing the 4-3-3 that after the game against Brentford, Sir Jim Ratcliffe went into the dressing room and demanded Ruben Amorim change his system. Lies. Again, it's lies. It's just media manipulation, just to add salt into the wound, kind of thing, you know. And that's what he's doing. It's adding salt into the wound, you know. I would let Amorim see out the season at least. Darren, fair play to you, brother. Fair play to you, bro. Fair play. Hey, only 20 likes. Guys, we need to get to 50 likes, guys. Come on, guys. Let's not forget 123 in the house. Let's get to 50 likes, guys. Let's not forget to do that. Thank you, guys. Metal, what's going on? What we need is a manager who adapts to the situation and isn't scared to make bold calls and personnel. I agree. Not someone stubbornly forcing them ideas. This is the biggest problem with Ruben Amorim, Metal. This is the biggest problem, isn't it? This is the biggest problem that we've been screaming out for. This is why I go on a rant every time I see the team lineup on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. It's exactly the reason. It's because I want to see bold decisions. I want to see decisions like, wow, I didn't expect that. Fair play. And that's what I want to see. You know? What would have made me happy on Saturday? If I saw Senny Lamens, Lenny Yoro, Aiden Heaven, Bruno on the bench or a number 10, Bremo on the right, Cunha as a number 10. And then we would have saw the whole new different dimension and we'd be sitting here singing from a different hymn sheet right now because we would have won 2 in a row. I guarantee you. He does it to himself. And that's the problem I have with it. I don't want him to get sacked. I really don't. But now he's moved himself into a corner where Liverpool is his be-all and end-all. Is do or die. And this is what I'm hearing. He beats Sunderland, it's do or die against Liverpool. I mean, what a situation to be in. I mean, I don't know whether he wants to be sacked because I'm looking at the team right now and I'm looking at the players he's playing, the Dalots, the Brunos, the Shaws, the Maguires. I'm looking at those players and I'm thinking, is he thinking short term because he doesn't believe he's going to be here long enough? Is he thinking that? You know? I don't know. Dalot is one of the worst right backs I've ever seen. He's not a right wing back, that's for sure. Dorgu's not ready to play as a right wing back. He needs to be on the bench and he needs someone experienced to play in that position. Harry Maguire is Harry Maguire. He will always be clumsy and make silly mistakes like he did in the first half against Brentford when you seen in the first goal. Bayende is not a good goalkeeper. He's not even a championship goalkeeper. And Luke Shaw is just not fit. He doesn't look fit. He doesn't look anywhere near the player he used to be. And he's just a body in there that isn't very good, you know? That's what I would say. United still suffering a hangover from Ineos takeover. The Ineos takeover was one of the biggest, worst things to happen in Man United's history, Irfan. I'll say it again. Ineos thing was one of the worst things that happened in Man United's history. They got in the way of Qatar. They got in the way of a full sale. They got in the way of clearing the debt. They got in the way of a potential successful Manchester United. That's what they did. Morning, Mark. Morning, what is this about Liverpool hijacking Baleba? Does Man United have a verbal agreement with Baleba, or is it still possible that he goes somewhere else? Man United have a verbal agreement with Baleba. Carlos Baleba wants to come to Man United, but Man United want Brighton to reduce the price. Now, this is where we get into very treacherous territory because obviously Liverpool will be willing, as we've seen in the summer, to be paying is whatever money it takes. So what Man United need to do is they can have a verbal agreement with Baleba. That's absolutely fine. That's great. But most importantly, they need to have an agreement with Brighton and Hove Albion. That's what they need to have an agreement with, which we don't have. And obviously, Sir Jim Ratcliffe doesn't want to pay the 100 million that Baleba is worth, that they believe he's worth. He wants to pay about 65 to 70 million euros, which for me, I think it's a fair price. But obviously, we're in the Premier League these days. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is using the excuse that, you know what, Baleba hasn't played well so far this season, that his price should be reduced. But it depends, isn't it? If Liverpool come out of nowhere and say, don't worry, we'll pay the money, we'll bring Baleba to Liverpool, then we're in problems because he will go to Liverpool. You know, and that is what the whole problem is with that, you know? Mark, Amorim dropped Maguire all through pre-season, and then in the Premier League, he played last 2 games for 65 minutes. Mark, you know what it is, Mark? Every one of us was saying during the pre-season, mate, that those young players, some of them are ready. Some of them are ready. Mantata is ready. You know, we're looking at Kone, it looks good. You know, we're looking at Kolungi, and we're looking at these type of players, and we're thinking, not bad. But, you know, with friendlies, right? I know that friendlies are different, but, you know, with friendlies, there's no pressure. You know what differentiates between the world-class managers and the average managers, or the nearly managers, is confidence, guts, steel, ruthlessness, unpredictability. No one is bigger than the club. You know, that is what great managers do. It's easy to do it in friendlies. Very easy to do it in friendlies, absolutely. But look at what Man United played, and you can get little signs about friendlies. You can get signs about friendlies, the way friendlies go and stuff like that. You can get little clues in regards to what friendlies are all about. And when you look at the games, I think we played Ugarte and Mainu in the midfield, and I think we performed absolutely brilliantly. Do you remember the Bournemouth game? And we won 3-0, 4-0, was it? 3-0, 4-0 in the friendly? And you know, look at those games. And he needs to take things from those games. He needs to take things from those games. We actually look like a proper football team, you know? We are cooking. Yay. Big up. Big up. Irfan, these Ruben Amorim comments tells me there is no football knowledge. They speak as if the same system is not played anywhere else, and Ruben Amorim has never won teams in his managing career. I know, mate. It's hard to explain to people that have a narrative, though. The problem is, Irfan, is that people have an opinion and they're very egotistical. They don't want to change the opinion. This is a problem these days. It's a problem these days. This is why we don't have discipline in society, because people will answer back their parents rather than listening to their parents. Do you know what I mean? They're from that type of generation. We're from a different generation where we get a good hiding. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. And that's the way they are. They're spoiled, and they don't want to be. They don't want to be told anything else. They want instant success. And guys, look, I will tell you guys, and I want these people to understand this, because I was never Erik ten Hag out, and I warned people about Erik ten Hag's situation at the time, that sacking him is not going to improve anything. We will be back here in a year's time, and lo and behold, here we are. None of them people are going to come back and say, Sal, you're actually right, you know. You know, they start making up stories about I wrote a love letter to them and say, oh, this, or to Erik ten Hag and all this crap, making up silly little stories. You know what I mean? The time they spend on the stories, they could have been on a treadmill losing a bit of kilos. But what I would say is this, right? We will be back here in 1 year's time. We will be back here. Don't worry about by crook or by crook. We will be back here. I am pretty certain about that. And we'll be talking about the same issues. That no one is going to come back who are saying system, who were talking about system, who were talking about managers being sacked, who were talking about Xavi, who were talking about Zidane. None of them people are going to come back. And none of them people are going to come back and say, Sal, you know what? Fair play to you, bro. Fair play to you, Irfan. Fair play to you, bro. You were right. No one's going to come back and say that. No one, you know, and that is just the society we live in these days. You know, I don't get any joy out of managers being sacked at Man United, because that's not who we were. I sense joy in people who are calling for Amorim to be sacked, and the fact that he's nearly sacked. I sense joy, and this is crazy. This is not Manchester United, you know. Ole's at the wheel. Give him a 10-year contract. Look, we're still suffering from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. People can throw out all the stats at me right now. We are still suffering from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer counter-attack ball. Yeah, we came second in COVID season, by the way. We're still suffering from that. Every decision that we've made over the last 10, 15 years, we're suffering from. Right from David Moyes was the wrong decision, you know. I'll give you a story that Rio Ferdinand, we're speaking of Rio Ferdinand, let me give you a story that Rio Ferdinand said. That it was just after a preseason game. And Rio Ferdinand walked onto the plane, right? Onto the plane with the players. And David Moyes was leaned back in his chair like this, tie undone, right? And he looked at Rio Ferdinand and he goes, oh, this is a big club, isn't it? From that moment, this isn't the right guy for the job. It's too big for him. And from that moment, If I knew that happened, I would have said, we're in big trouble here. We're in massive trouble here. We're in huge trouble here, you know? Never the right guy. And I think it has been a domino effect from David Moyes all the way to this day. We planted a bacterial infection with David Moyes that was growing, right? And that is where we are now. It's ultimately where we are now. We're making the wrong decisions like we did from 1968 to 1974, where we ended up getting relegated, you know? A big up Top Button. Now he's the two assistant cooks, but we haven't got the chefs. Agreed, Top Button. And again, I asked the question, whose fault is that? You know, whose fault is that? Let me tell you something, Mark, about the open heart surgery. The open heart surgery wasn't just about the players. The open heart surgery was about the board, mate. He was talking about the board. I know that for a fact. He was initially talking about the board, talking about the ownership. That's what he was talking about, not just the players. Big up, D. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're good. Hope everyone is blessed. Guys, I want to thank everyone for joining me today. You're absolute legends. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Smash a like on the video, guys. If you guys can do that for me, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Be like Ellen, by the way. Hope you're doing well. Have a great day, everyone. A great night, great evening, wherever you are in the world. I will be back later on for Chatterbox, so don't forget to join me for that, guys. Chatterbox matters as well, guys, so don't forget to join me for Chatterbox, guys. Thank you for 50 likes, guys. Really appreciate you. You're absolute legend, guys. And thank you so much, everyone who continues to support the channel. I will be back later on for Chatterbox. This is Breaking Dawn. I'm Sal Warner, and I will see you later on then. Take it easy, guys. Peace.